Everything about Harry Potter is iconic. His lightning bolt scar, round glasses, and messy black hair etch themselves into the memory of a generation. But now, HBO is shaking things up, and fans are doing double takes. The boy who lived is back, but he doesn't look quite the way you remember him. A new actor, a bold visual style, and a complete reimagining of Hogwarts have arrived, and Potterheads all over the world are having intense feelings, some enchanted, others utterly bewildered. If you thought the wizarding world had given you its final spell, think again. HBO's new adaptation is stirring the cauldron, and what's bubbling up might just change everything we thought we knew about Harry Potter. First impressions matter, and the new Harry Potter's look has already divided the internet. Gone are the soft, almost innocent features of Daniel Radcliffe's portrayal. This new version of Harry is sharper, more intense, and noticeably edgier. The glasses are still round, but the style is more refined, more modern, and more fitting for a generation that grew up with darker themes and streaming bingers. His scar is still there, but it's framed now with a bit more cinematic drama, slightly deeper, more textured, almost like it carries the burden of his past in every frame. His hair, still unkempt, but this time it feels intentional, less boyish, more raw. This Harry looks like someone who's been through something even before we hear a word from him. The robes have also undergone a serious makeover. HBO clearly spared no expense in crafting a visual world that feels richer, deeper, and more grounded in realism than the glossy, colorful films of the early 2000s. The new Hogwarts uniform features heavier fabrics, detailed stitching, and designs that nod more toward medieval British boarding schools and a children's fantasy series. There's an undeniable weight to this reboot. It doesn't feel like a fairy tale, it feels like a real place where real danger lives behind every stone wall and whispering corridor. And this new Harry fits right into that world. He's no longer just a plucky orphan with a heart of gold, he's a survivor in a dangerous, political, and morally complex world. Social media is absolutely ablaze. The moment HBO dropped the first teaser showing the new Harry walking through the snow-dusted grounds of Hogwarts, fans paused everything. TikTok exploded with breakdowns. Instagram flooded with side-by-side comparisons. X was on fire with debates. He looks nothing like Harry. One kept crying, while others insisted, this is the Harry we always deserved. Some fans say he looks too mature for his age, while others argue it's finally a version that aligns with the darker tones of the books. And that's exactly the point. This isn't just a remake, it's a reinterpretation. HBO isn't trying to repackage your childhood, they're rebuilding the entire wizarding world from the ground up, and that includes redefining. The casting chose raised eyebrows from the moment it was announced. Instead of going for a Radcliffe lookalike, the showrunners opted for someone who brings a different kind of energy, gritty, grounded, and emotionally layered. Insiders say the actor was chosen not just for his resemblance to the character in the books, but for his ability to carry the weight of a story that unfolds over a decade-long series. This new Harry is expected to age with the show, and HBO plans to dive far deeper into his psychological transformation than the films ever dare. We're talking about trauma, isolation, survivor's guilt, all explored through a more nuanced lens. This isn't just magic and mischief anymore. This is character-driven, prestige storytelling with a wand in hand. And it's not just Harry. Every character is getting a makeover. Hermione's curls are back, this time frizzier, wilder, and more accurate to her book description. Ron is less comic relief, more quiet strength. Even Draco Malfoy's platinum blonde hair looks toned down, less cartoonish, more aristocratic. The aesthetic shift is clear. This isn't a world of flashy spells and whimsical soundtracks. This is a world of old magic, ancient bloodlines, and deeply buried secrets. And Harry's new look is at the heart of that transformation. Let's not forget the symbolism. The original films gave us a Harry who, while brave, was almost always wide-eyed, reactive, and overwhelmed. This new Harry, he looks like he's already seen behind the curtain. He doesn't just stumble into destiny, he looks like he's preparing for it. There's a seriousness in his posture, a burden in his gaze. Every shot feels deliberate, like the weight of prophecy already sits on his shoulders. You get the sense that even at 11, this boy understands he's different, and not in a whimsical, you're a wizard, Harry kind of way. More like, you're marked, Harry, and nothing will ever be normal again. critics have already started dissecting the look in interviews and early press screenings. One HBO insider described the design direction as grounded fantasy, aiming to reflect the tone of the books more than the earlier films, and fans of the novels are noticing. Remember how in the books Harry is described as being small and skinny, with a face full of sharp angles and eyes too big for his face? That's exactly the energy HBO's team tried to capture, less polished, more haunted. It's a Harry that reminds you he's been neglected, unloved, and thrust into a world that doesn't always make sense. He's awkward in a way that feels real, vulnerable but holding on. Merchandise hasn't even hit shelves yet, and already fans are recreating the new Harry's look. Etsy shops are churning out cosplay robes modeled on the updated designs. Fan art is everywhere. And interestingly, a new wave of Gen Z fans, many of whom weren't even born when the original films came out, are claiming this Harry as their own. For them, this isn't about nostalgia. This is about identity, representation, and storytelling that reflects the emotional complexity they expect from modern fantasy. It's almost like a cultural reset. A new generation now has their own Harry, and he's not here to play games. But of course, not everyone's on board. Some die-hard fans of the original series are calling it a betrayal. They miss the golden hues, the whimsical tone, the warm innocence of the first movie. They argue that this new look is too bleak, to Game of Thrones for a story that ultimately hinges on love and friendship. But others argue that the darkness was always there, it just wasn't fully explored. From child abuse to fascism to death and grief, the Harry Potter books were never just bedtime stories. They were complex tales of moral ambiguity and resistance in the face of evil. And this new Harry, with his solemn eyes and weathered posture, looks like a boat who's about to learn that lesson the hard way. Even the wand design has changed. It's longer, slightly more irregular, and feels handmade rather than mass-produced. There's texture now, imperfection, like something forged in the real world, not conjured in a CGI lab. It's all part of HBO's mission to strip away the gloss and get back to the core of what made the books resonate: pain, struggle, triumph, and transformation. And this Harry, with every stitch of his updated look, embodies that mission. The biggest question now is whether this new look will stand the test of time. Will it become iconic the way Radcliffe's portrayal did? Or will it fade under the weight of fan expectations and studio pressure? So far, signs point to the former. The buzz is deafening, and with each new image, each teaser clip, and each behind-the-scenes photo, it's clear that HBO is betting big on this new face of Harry Potter. Love it or loathe it, one thing's for sure: HBO's Harry Potter isn't just a reboot. It's a reckoning, and the boy who lived. He's no longer just a character in a story. He's a mirror for a whole new era of storytelling. So the next time you see that scar, those glasses, and that intense new gaze staring out from your screen, remember, this isn't about reliving the past. It's about redefining the legend, one spellbinding episode at a time.